Hello, everyone. Welcome to this and session. And it's a really special one because the time of broadcast is October, and we know it's a special month for our ADHD community, dyspraxia community, and of course, dyslexia community as well. And the theme this October is What's Your Story? Now, here at we are often asking our guests what their story is, and tonight will be no different. I'm joined by the fantastic Eric Cheung, and we're going to get chatting with Eric shortly about his story around neurodiversity. But before we get started, as always, I like to run through just who we are here at AND. So AND is the Adult Network Neurodiversity and Dyslexia. My name is Donna Stevenson, and I'm your normal host for when we join together in this brilliant coalition. So who are we at AND? We are a coalition of like-minded organisations who join together to try and make a difference for the community that we serve. So we have Neurobox, we have Succeed with Dyslexia, we have the Adult Dyslexia Centre, we have Hampshire Dyslexia Association, we also have Yorkshire Rose Dyslexia Association, and I'm joined by Pat Payne this evening, who is the chair of that association. Hi, Pat.
Hi, everybody.
Pat, tell us a little bit about the great work that you do in Yorkshire.
Well, we do a little bit of everything. We do whatever we can, wherever we can. Our main focus is our helpline, as a couple of guests tonight have contacted us. So we have helpline calls, have done. Over the years, we must have taken thousands of calls. It's certainly hundreds a year. So we've taken lots and lots of calls and hopefully helped lots and lots of people. But our main focus is we try every year to do a dyslexia festival based in Leeds for anybody who can reach us. Pudsey just outside Leeds. That's next year's is planned for the 15th of March. So that's going to happen. And then our other main focus is helping youngsters to learn to touch type using English type programme.
Brilliant. Thank you, Pat. And I went to your festival earlier this year. They're absolutely brilliant. And it's great to have the community together in that way. So
absolutely.
It's so good to hear you're going to do it again next year. So that's definitely a date for the diary.
Bigger and better, we hope.
Brilliant. Well, it was pretty good when I attended in May, so I can't imagine how great it's going to be next March. I'm sure we'll hear more about it as we go through our AND sessions together. Yeah. And then last but certainly not least, as part of the coalition, is Helen Arkell Dyslexia Charity. Now, each of the organisations within the coalition do slightly different roles, slightly different ways to support the community. We know that Helen Arkell, for example, focuses a lot on assessment and delivering training. We've just heard from Pat talking about what Yorkshire does. Hampshire has a helpline as well, and we're going to share those details at the end of our session tonight. They also have a festival coming up as well, so those guys do a lot of work to serve the community that part of the world. Similarly, the ADC, the Adult Dyslexia Centre, has a helpline, provides training and assessment. Succeed with Dyslexia doesn't have a helpline, but it provides lots of free information on their YouTube channel, lots of free webinars if you go and visit the website. And Neurobox, assessment, training, tech support. So the organisations come together during AND to really work to support the community, as well as, of course, all the brilliant work they do individually. So that's a little bit about who we are. And now I'm going to introduce our brilliant guest this evening, which is Eric Cheung. So let me stop sharing the slide. And now we can see Eric. And Eric, thank you so much for being our guest this evening. We know this is a special one in October, talking about our stories. And I really want to get into what your story is in a moment or two, if that's okay. But I want to introduce you first, sure, and then we'll get chatting. So you are an Associate Delivery Manager at Made Tech. And Made Tech, for those who aren't sure, is a tech consultancy, and you guys work with organisations to transform, deliver and manage a world-class digital products and cloud services, if I've got that right. Eric, it sounds really interesting. I'm sure you're going to talk about some of your work there as we go through tonight. But also, and I really love this about you, you are a great communicator, and we hear a lot about you being a storyteller professionally, but also your passion in the neurodivergent community as well.
No, that is absolutely correct. I really do feel that it's necessary to have a voice that for just the next generation when it comes to the youngsters, I would say, and even the adults, no one is left behind, because I struggled through it not knowing until quite a later on in my life and stage. And, I just feel that if I had been diagnosed much earlier, I wouldn't have caused also, well, not say I caused all the pain, but go through all the
Yeah,
struggles and challenges.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for all that you do. And we've known each other for quite some time, so it's lovely to be able to chat with you in this
Correct.
way. So
Indeed.
that brings me nicely on to, I suppose, what we call now a backstory, isn't it?
Mm.
Share with us your journey with neurodiversity then.
Well, as I said, I was only diagnosed quite late in life. I think I was 21 off the top of my head in my second year of university. But, you know, before then, there was no, well, for me, there was no science to say I was dyslexic, or there was no science to even know that I was dyslexic. So I was never caught at school, as in no one actually ever thought this chap could be dyslexic or could have some neurodiversity. It never was caught. It was quite sad because the first struggle, and coming from a Chinese family, there are expectations that you got to do really well in your education, especially. So my parents pushed me like mad for GCSEs, and let alone before that it was SATs. I still wasn't the best, but so when it came to it, so GCSEs straightforward. I only got 1C. Now that was a devastating blow. But to me, I was quite happy because I got 1C in classic civilization. For those that don't know, it's basically Greek mythology, which is one of the most passionate subjects I've ever taken and really enjoyed because of the stories behind all the mythologies behind each, from Hercules, Zeus, etc. We can go on and on all that.
So it's kind of lots of stories, isn't it?
Yeah,
And lots of these myths and legends. Fascinating.
correct. But what's really weird is in history, so and then the rest of the subjects, maths, English, science, all the most important ones, supposedly, I got D's, E's, and F's and G's. And what made matters worse, I got a U in history. Now, I didn't know what a U was at the time, meaning basically means that it was ungraded. I didn't even have to sit the exam, really. But history to me is fascinating subject. I loved it. I loved the medicine time that I was learning, the World War One, World War Two, etc. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. But how I ended up with you, I will never find out up till now. But because the fact that history is linked to Greek mythology and
Yeah.
classics, so that makes no sense. Why could I not get the same grade for it? So those are some of the flags already that happened. And I studied really hard. It was not that I did not study. I really did put a lot of effort and time into this, but because I knew how important it was in order to do A levels, and you got to do good in A levels in order to go to university, etc. So yeah, all like after that, it was a bit of a struggle and a bit of a downhill. So having no GCSEs, you can't do A levels for starters. So I had to think of a backlog of what else could I do. Quit school was probably one option, which I definitely wasn't allowed to do. But I found another course in tourism, no, leisure and tourism, GMVQ, which was coursework based. I took that 1 year intermediate, managed to scrape a merit, thank goodness. So then now I was actually allowed to take an A level, but they said that you might struggle with examinations, Eric, because look at your GCSEs, which is very truthful. I can't retain information, which is the sad part. Is in, I love going to lessons, I love learning, but for some strange reason, even just 15 minutes of talking with a teacher, I couldn't retain that information, which something I noticed or may have noticed deep down inside, but never voiced it out because is it like everyone else or is it just me? I don't know. And then, I managed, so I took on a GMVQ advanced in travel and tourism for 2 years, but that's only two A levels. You need three A levels to actually get into uni. So I covered that off with another A level with classic civilization as an A level, which I was so pleased of. And I did get a C again in A level. So that basically shot me into uni finally. I decided to continue that career in tourism management because I already fell in love with it. So I thought, I love this. This is the hospitality trade. And myself coming from a hospitality family who own a restaurant. So, I love it. And I thought, I'm going to continue this on. And I still went for a high national diploma, which is a HND, because again, I was a bit conscious, if I take a degree, am I going to fail? So I thought, let's try a HND to begin with, and hopefully 2 years of that, they might put me on to the third year of the degree. That's my fingers crossed. So the first year HND, I scraped through, I think, if I were to be fact. I very, very luckily, I scraped through it. Again, my lecturers were all concerned. They didn't know what was wrong. Again, cheerful person, attended all the classes, did extra homework, did extra support for myself to make sure that I learned better. Basically, I did not say I didn't have a social life at uni, but I also wanted to study to make sure I achieved what I wanted to. I was just very fortunate. It was actually my lecturer, Lisa Powers. She's now a retired lecturer, but she was the one that actually asked me to go get an assessment done. Now, she didn't tell me what it was. She said, "Oh, Eric, I'd like you to just attend this assessment, please." And didn't think anything of it. So I attended the assessment, finished it, and I was just like, "Whoa, that was quite intense." It was lots of things. If you ask me now, I'm not going to be able to tell you how the assessment went, but the assessor came out and just opened up, looked at me and just said, "How did you make it here?" And now my way of hearing that was, I answered by saying I just came from the other building. It wasn't that far, but she had to rephrase it and say, no, how did you make it to university? And I said, but like anyone else, you go through the whole, the channel by, getting good grades or grades, GCSE, A-level, and then uni. And I, did you do bad in any of your education? She asked. And I said, I did. I failed my GCSE. I was very upfront with her about it. And she was like, okay, all right. And did you feel that you were trying and, you just weren't ever able to take all the information in? I was like, yeah. I was like, oh my goodness, this person understands me for the first time. Somebody actually understands that there is a struggle, but it wasn't my fault, if that makes sense. It's something else. And we then talked a bit and she just eased it in and just said, look, just to be upfront, this assessment, did you know what it was about? I said, no. I was just told by my lecturer to go and do something and I just went and did it. Like as a good example. But yeah, so she just said, so this assessment was for dyslexia, and I'm just here to confirm you have dyslexia, however word you want to use at the time. And I was a bit taken aback, frozen, thinking, oh, okay, what does that mean? It sort of kind of made sense. She just explained that you have a different type of thinking to a non-disabled person. I was a bit upset, of course. I was taken by surprise. Like, oh my goodness, how did I get this? How on earth did this happen? And then she explained it was like it could be from your parents or another generation above. It could be many, many things. And it just took a bit of time to adjust. And then she told me that, but we have support for you. I don't know what it's called back then, but even now, I don't even remember the word is, but we have support for you. And I was like, okay, so what's the support? Well, these are the type of equipment and softwares we're going to put in place for you. And on the spot, she gave me these tints and we put each one on, different texts. She asked me which one looks best for your eyes. And I was like, oh, okay. Didn't make anything of it. Yellow was the best color because for the first time ever, most of the words stopped floating for me. Now, that was like an eye-opener for me because I've never seen all the letters not move. Now, I know some people might judge and go, that's just you being silly. Words don't float. Actually, if it doesn't float, it's moving around. It's not that I want it to, but that's how I've seen words and letters all my life. And to see everything actually, on the table for once, you're just like, this is amazing. And yeah, I cried in tears thinking this is amazing, knowing that I actually now have support and I now know that I'm dyslexic. What can I do with it? And then at the same time, I was also blaming myself and others of why it was never picked up at an early stage, even though that there were so many signs, from just being called stupid idiot back then from a teacher as well. It's quite painful. You're just thinking you're trying so hard and you're still like not reaching a potential of your own ability. And it's not that I wasn't trying. I was trying so damn hard, but just never getting the results I could have got. So yeah, I thought that was just the big eye opener for me and a bit of pressure off my shoulders, knowing, okay, it wasn't that I was an idiot or, all the nasty words that kids used back then. It was actually that I just thought differently. So now that, you know, there's now software, there's now equipment, there's now strategies in place, I basically had the ammunition now to try and thrive and try and succeed in passing my HND, which I'm very fortunate I passed it, thank God. I was absolutely bricking it, because I thought, oh my gosh, yeah, it was scary enough. But then when I passed it with another merit, which I was over the moon, I was then informed that, you know, a lot of your guys from your HND year 2 are now going into the 3rd year of degree. However, Eric, we're very concerned if we pro you in the 3rd year degree, you won't handle it well, that it's too much of a jump. We wish if you can go into the 2nd year of the degree. Now, you know, all my friends are moving on to 3rd year. I'm going to be one of many that are going to go into the 2nd year degree. Finance is going to be an issue. Friends are going to be an issue. I've got to, you know, start afresh again with another group of the people. I was hesitant. I really was. There's a part of me that just didn't want to do it. And the lecturer didn't really give me a choice, really, not to actually take the 3rd year as an option, because in her mind, and I think she really did know deep down inside, I would fail. So in some ways, looking back and reflecting, I'm grateful she pulled me back and said, just take 2nd year. I promise you it'll be worth it in the long run. Short run for me was just, you know, it's more money. But, you know, this is what things happen for a reason. So because that had happened, my journey went a bit weird, because finance is a new issue now. So what can I do to continue that? I decided to, there was a little program going on at Southampton Institute, or formerly known as Southampton Institute, now known as Southampton Solent University. They were doing little it was a government scheme where they were giving entrepreneurs money to start their own company up. And I thought, I want to start something up. Why not? I need to earn some money, so why not try this out? So I threw all the eggs in one basket to give this a shot while studying. I said I'm going to do an event company, because at the time and moment, there was a niche in international students not really going out clubbing or nights out or just socializing, because it just wasn't for them. They didn't want to spend too much money. But at the same time, they didn't have any meetups, which was very unusual. And I only enjoyed it doing this type of stuff because I was a flyer. I was handing out flyers to people at universities during their breaks, you know, go and attend this event, attend this event. I attended many of them, and I thought I could do something better. I thought, let's just open this company up for fun. I pitched to the university. I said, I've got this idea. This is what I want to do. And, you know, did a forecast of how much I would bring back, and this is how much I can give back to you guys. It was like a bit like Dragon's Den, but except I get to keep the money, they said. So I thought, okay, that's a win-win for me, really. So yeah, it kicked off. It was called Unowned Production. I co-owned it with one of my best friends, Sylvester Mido. We rolled it out into Southampton, and then rolled it into Portsmouth, and then Bournemouth, and then near enough the whole of Hampshire. And now I'm only in my 2nd year of university. I'm doing both events and making money and trying to study at the same time. It wasn't easy, but had to be done. And yeah, 2 years later, I graduated. I'll say it out loud. I got 2nd class honours. I'll let you decide if it was 2-1 or 2-2, but I'm just going to keep that to myself. But I was happy. I really, really was, that I was able to wear that square hat that my parents have always wanted me to wear. So, you know, I was proud for their moment. I was proud that I completed it. I was surprised I even did. So, yeah, that's the education side. I'm just going to quickly turn it back to make it more interesting of another incident where before I was diagnosed. So before I went to university, there was I was doing a part-time job at Air France at London Heathrow. I got offered to be a passenger service agent, basically checking passengers in, boarding them, etc. Fantastic job, earned a lot of money. Nearly didn't go to uni because of that, because I was earning a lot. But then when they said that we'll take you on as ad hoc, perfect. That means there's still income. When I was working for nearly over a year, I decided to try and go over to a competitor, Cathay Pacific. You know, I prepped up for my interview and everything. I was really excited, had all my notes in my bag, attended the interview, 3 panelists, opening question. You know, they calmed me down, you know, welcome, Mr. Cheung. We're just going to ask a few questions. And here we go. And first opening question was, who's the CEO of Cathay Pacific? I didn't know. Okay, never mind, Mr. Chung. Let's move on to the next question. How many flights do we have leaving London Heathrow as part of Cathay Pacific? I didn't know, but I was like, this is really weird. Why can't I answer? And the third and final question, which basically I couldn't believe that they asked me how many flights leave as Cathay Pacific, the international hub is Hong Kong. How many flights do we have flying out to different destinations? How many destinations are there? And my answer was again, I don't know. But I was so shocked that I actually excused myself from the interview because I was so embarrassed. I just couldn't basically hold my head up anymore. And I left. I went outside and I knew I failed the interview. That's why I exited myself. But I opened my notebooks and all the questions popped up that I wrote down, but I wasn't able to retain it or to open my mouth and actually give the answers. I knew the answer, but I just couldn't say it. And back then, you weren't allowed to take notes in because it looked unprofessional. And it was just annoying. Looking back and thinking all the answers was within the reach of my hand, but I wasn't able to hold on to that information to be able to say it out loud to prove to people that, I've got such a good memory. I could memorize A to Z or all the equations of everything about the company. So I was a bit distorted by that. But sorry, I was just going backwards quickly. It was just another incident of just showcasing that not because I'm forgetful, it's because it's hard for a dyslexic to retain information as much as you really regurgitate the words and continuously try your best to remember. You just won't. But obviously, we're in 2024 now. You're allowed to take your notes in. You're allowed to take your phone and your iPad in. Your notes are there. People are a bit more accepting. So yeah, after university finished, I tried job hunting around. That didn't happen so quickly. So no one would ever believe that a 24-year-old owned their own company at the time. People just said, not a chance. I'm not, taking you on. This company doesn't make it. It was all, it was all listed and everything. It was on government house, etc. But yeah, it was quite sad that it didn't happen. So I decided to go back for smaller title jobs and work my way starting from scratch again. Ended up with a title events coordinator at Sparshot College in Winchester, and I thrived there. I was both doing events, conferences, and weddings, something that I never thought I'd get myself into. And yeah, it was different. Sorry, excuse me. My dog just walked in. Excuse me.
That's okay.
He's down here.
We're dog friendly here,
Yep,
Eric.
very good. And no, it was different. As in, that was when, as a college, again, I was a bit skeptical. This is where I was very scared about when I applied for jobs before I got the job at Sparshot College. I never actually told anyone, or even in the applications, that I was disabled with dyslexia or anything like that. Because when I started putting down I was disabled or with dyslexia, I never didn't hear anyone at the time back then. I didn't hear any people come back to me with feedback or rejections. It just went quiet. And I'm not even going to tell you how many jobs I applied for because it was a horrible number back then, let alone now it's just as worse. But it didn't happen. But so then I had to start not saying I was dyslexic. I actually just wrote, just normal, just as I am. Just don't mention it, basically. Don't mention you're disabled. Don't mention you've got neurodiversity. Don't mention anything. Just keep it to yourself. And I got the job, but it was painful because I was absolutely drenching. Because now I'm holding back and keeping something secret. I was actually really scared that if I was found out, would I get let go? So that was another thing that happened. There was a job in the past where I told them that I was dyslexic after getting the job, and then I was let go within a week, which was crazy. Don't need to mention names, but I'm hoping they've done better now. But again, this is the fright and scare that I had throughout. And I'm like, oh my goodness, just keep quiet, Eric, just do your best. But Sparshot College, being an education industry, they saw it, but they just didn't want to announce it to me. They actually made sure that I said it to them, which was a bit harsh. But at the same time, I think I was a year and a half in. I started struggling with the role because more responsibilities came on top of it. And they just said, can we support you in any way? Can we help you in any way? And then I just turned around and said, I've got dyslexia. And then, okay, let's see what we can do about it. I was like, oh, wow, you're not going to get rid of me. And I was so relieved. And they said, no, we're going to have to, if we work as part of an education ball, if we get rid of you, it'll make us look even worse. So let's work it out. And it happened. They gave the support, the tech that I need, the strategy that I need to thrive off it. Oh gosh, where am I now? I'm at Sparshall College. So yeah, I was there 3 years, not getting anywhere with my career because I was really like wanting more. I decided to well, actually I had a cousin, my late cousin Pete Chung, very dear cousin of mine. I call him like the big brother, like Daiko or Gogo in Chinese. And he actually dared me to move to Singapore. And I said, why not? At the time I was a bit scared because I was like, oh, this is a bit scary. Do I really want to go in or do I not? And yeah, I took a chance. I handed my notice into Sparshall College and they were a bit shocked. It came out of nowhere because, yeah, I just said, yeah, it's time for me to go because I'm not getting anywhere with life and everything, and just went with it. So packed my bags, went to Singapore. Uh, it was crazy. I'm not going to lie. I was absolutely bricking it and scared to my life for someone like me taking a risk like that with just enough saved in his bank to get through. But he said to me that I'll look after you. That was his opening liner. I will look after you. And I thought, okay, I feel very blessed for him to say that. So got there, didn't do anything or enough. And he said, so, first couple of few weeks or few months in, I hadn't even started. I started job hunting ish, but not enough. And I saw how it's very different out there. Your CVs, especially, you need your profile picture on the CV. So I was been like, oh, okay. And you've also got to announce how much money you want. And you're like, oh wow, this is amazing. I actually have to ask or announce how much money I need. Obviously, I can't go over the top and ask for the world, but you've got to be decent. I was like, okay, I'll calm down about that. So I landed my. I didn't get the job in the first couple of months, and then my cousin Pete announced that I'm gonna. All right, mate. What have you been doing for the past couple of months? You've been going out, you've been drinking, you've been partying, you've been socializing, you've been networking, but you still haven't got a job. So I'm gonna give you a timer on you. I'm gonna give you to the end of the week. You need to find a new place and a job. So a person who's in a new country who's been put on the ground of this, I was absolutely scared off it was amazingly worrying. So knuckled down, found a place. Luckily, I hated him for a good month, but I realised it was for my own good. I found a job at St. Regis, and again, before then, applying for jobs, I didn't announce I was dyslexic because I saw again the same trend. No one replied my messages. The moment I said yes, I have neurodiverse dyslexia, I didn't see anything come back. So again, I just went quiet, and eventually I landed a job with St. Regis, who were part of Starwood now, part of the Marriott Group, as the what was that, my title, a catering sales executive, just to start things off with. It was crazy because I was doing more than one hat's worth, and it just wasn't working. So I left after a year. Got picked up by Shangri-La, which is another luxury hotel, which was fantastic. And I just went along with that. And I ended up being with that group for 5 years, which was absolutely amazing. As long as, and I said, and again, I didn't announce I was dyslexic at the time, but once I was a bit more comfortable with my team, I then told my line manager that I have dyslexia. Can you support me in this? It's only when I was much more at a comfortable stage where I know that they're not going to get rid of me, or are they? But I was more comfortable that she won't, make it worse. But she said, Eric, and she actually told me I have dyslexia too, but I don't share it because I just want to just keep my head down and get on with things. And you've been doing that greatly throughout these years. Why are you only announcing it now? And I said, I'm actually starting to struggle with it. And we went through it, and I shared with her what my struggles were. And then we started doing things a little bit differently. We actually started doing more templating on stuff. Like, for an event, you've got a simple, like, how many people are supposed to attend. So you just put a number in. What's the layout going to be? Circles, cabaret, U-shape, etc. Just do a little thing and just circle it. It just made my life easier. And then she said, now do you feel a bit more comfortable with this? And I said, oh, I do. Flipping it. This is amazing. And yeah, I just thought this was great. Having someone that I could actually share with now made a big difference. But yeah, so I did 4 years in Singapore, then 1 year in Hong Kong, and then I decided I wanted to go back to UK. But in the end, my calling came, and I moved industry. I moved into the event agency world now. So now I became a business development manager. where I was pitching for clients, which is very different of me, which I never knew I could do, but somebody had recommended me because they said, look, you've got good open communication skills, you're very transparent, and you're open and honest. That's the type of person we need. I thought, okay, this is very different. Let's give it a shot. So I ended up with a company called MCI, MCI Group, and did wonders. Again, nothing, I didn't want to share it. I just didn't feel comfortable at the time. But this is the opportunity where I went along with the work, got used to it, and then I saw this thing from Singapore where they were, I think it was the Dyslexia Association of Singapore, where, you know, they were doing stuff. And I thought, actually, I want to be I want to be a voice for this as well. Why don't I chip myself in? So I did. I actually met up with a lady, I forgot her name now, it's going to be very embarrassing. It's going to tell me off later. So apologies in advance. But I told her that, you know, I want to advocate dyslexia a bit more in the Chinese community, because there's been that stigma from day one that, you know, especially in Asia and China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, everywhere there, people don't believe it. They say it's just something that can be fixed, which is what they always say. It could be from fish oil to other medicines to hypnosis, lots of really stuff that I've never occurred or even heard of in my life. And she asked me if I could be a speaker, and I said, yeah, definitely. And then obviously, because I said I was going to be a speaker, that means I need to let MCI know about it as well now. And I was open and transparent. I said, look, I'm doing a talk for Dyslexia Association of Singapore. And then they wondered why. I said, oh, I'm dyslexic. And then, oh, okay. Nothing new. And I just thought, whew, thank God, nothing happened. And yeah, so it was that made it really different. And it's changed me so much, knowing that I wish I'd said it from, like, sometimes I always said to myself, why didn't I just say I was dyslexic from day one? Would it have made life a bit easier, or would it have been more challenging? I don't know. But, you know, we fast forward now. So I did my time in Asia. I moved back to the UK, trying to find my feet again, to look for myself and think, right, has it changed much here? Let's apply for jobs now. So, and this is the time where I say that I was looking around to see what is going to be suitable for me now, because I've worked in Asia. I should be more marketable. I've got all this international experience. I'm very worldly, but no, it's actually hit me back. Oh, you haven't been in UK long enough, so you're going to have to start from the bottom and work your way up again. I thought, this is crazy. This is absolutely horrendous. For both event manager roles, for business development, no, they wanted me back as a junior role, which I thought was crazy for some of the companies. But eventually I landed with American Express GPT, told them straight up front that I'm dyslexic from the very first part of the get-go of the interview. They welcomed it with open arms, which I was like, wow, this is amazing. Did the whole interview, got the job, which I was very grateful for, and then COVID hit. so that was a bit of a downer, and yeah, quite painful. So it's different, I'm not going to say. So they kept me on for a good few more months, but obviously I wasn't able to do live projects, and eventually they had to let me go. But you know what? I shook hands, not physically, but on a Zoom call, to say thank you for keeping me and furloughing me. You had every right to get rid of me from the start. So from there onwards, it was just a good opportunity to try other industries out. I said, so I'm going to try this, try that, try a bit of everything, and then realized I want to change a different career now. I've had enough of trying to be this whole, this just, yeah, I just didn't want to make so much money. I wanted to make money for myself to survive, but I wanted to do something that was good for people. And then I found this role published at the British Dyslexia Association. I thought, oh, ironic, I'm dyslexic. Maybe they might give me a job, hopefully, fingers crossed. And yes, I did get the job. They took me on as a relationship officer. That's where I met yourself, Donna, so it was fantastic. And I'm so grateful that we've become very good friends afterwards, and Sue as well. It was amazing. I thought, oh my God, I'm actually going to, and when I started doing the job, I realized that there was a calling, that there are such jobs as this. And even though it was a charity, in a way, I took a salary cut, obviously, to take this job, but in a way, I felt so much more happy, and I was doing something good for the community now, not just making money and, you know, spending it on stupid stuff. I'm actually saving a bit more now. I'm actually looking in and go, okay, I'm actually doing good for the dyslexia neurodiverse community now, or neurodivergent, whichever word you'd like to use. I know there's so many words we use nowadays, but it felt good. And I thought, actually, I really want to continue this now. But yeah, I stayed, I forgot how many years I was there for. I think it was 2 or so off the top of my head. But after that, I was like, right, I need to make more money now because I might potentially have a family. I need to look into other stuff. My priorities have changed. I've done best I can for the community. Now I need to do more. So I went hunting. I thought, right, I'm going to do business development again, and tried it. And again, this is what freaked me out. I told him I was dyslexic. Application was dyslexic as well. Got the job, which was fantastic. But then within a few weeks, when they realised, this is my assumption, I could be completely wrong, but I was let go within less than 3 weeks, which was scary again. When I told them that, I need this support, I need support. When they let me go, I kept asking myself, oh my God, was it because I told them I was dyslexic? But we had everything in place. Or I asked for lots of things so I can get myself working and getting ready for the actual job so I can do the job properly. I even got access to work settled, as in I did everything for them. I did told them, you don't need to lift a finger. I will do all the stuff in the background. I just need you to give me the okay, and I need to have a good line manager that understands me. So that's all I want. And yeah, it never happened. So again, lots of questions as a dyslexic person. You question yourself in so many things, thinking, should I have mentioned that I was dyslexic? Should I have told them I needed this support? At the time, they might say yes to everything because it's a good tick box, but then it didn't in the end. So again, out of job, looking for a job, and I was drawn to this. I wanted to change careers again. I just said, right, screw all this. What else can I do that's good, that could help community, that is actually more than that? Or what area of the careers can I have transferable skills in? I joined this charity called Diverse and Equal, and they are basically a company or charity that gives opportunities for those that have no tech knowledge. I did like an intense course with them for 3 months, traveled up and down to Manchester for it. Started off with about 20 people and ended up with only like 14 or 13 people because it was a very intense course. And I have Annie, who was my coach, teacher, whatever you call it, who really did cheer me on for it. And this is where I found my calling. I wanted to be a delivery manager. And that was what I wanted to go for. That's what I was going to strive for. I was going to apply for jobs. I was going to say, yep, I don't have tech experience, but this is my transferable skills. Eventually, I was very fortunate. I landed with one consultancy. They took me on, and I brought you in as well, Donna, as my trainer. And I thought it was all going great. But again, I realized that sometimes it just wasn't meant to be. Sometimes the matches of a line manager to me might not have been the best of matches, but again, I was welcomed into the new tech world, and I was 40 at the time. So, I've changed from event industry to agency world to hotel to charity, and now I'm in tech world. And, I'm fortunate after I left the last consultancy, I became a dad in between, which was fantastic. So that was another highlight for me, that I actually had more time to spend with my kid. And now I'm working for Maytech, who understand me that, again, I told him from day one, I'm dyslexic. I actually put it on the application. I'm dyslexic. How are you going to support me? This is what I can do and bring to the table. What can you bring back to me? So the opening question the interviewer asked for me, as in the screening, said, what can we do to support you? I just openly said, can I have the questions for the interview, please? And Lord and behold, they actually gave it to me within 3 days, and the interview was 1 week later. I had 1 week to prepare, but they said that, why do you feel having the interview questions would assist you? And I told them up front, do you think that I'm cheating? I actually asked them that. I threw the question back at them because I said, as a dyslexic person, I have so much challenges of remembering stuff. If everything's all formulated nicely, I don't waste each other's time when it comes to the interview. There won't be any ahhing or umming or me like going quiet, thinking of constructing an actual good answer. Whereas all the answers are ready for me. Yes, it looks as though that I'm cheating, but then the interviewer has every right to question anything that sounds a bit off, or they feel that, oh, could you elaborate that bit a bit more? And then I have the opportunity to share that because at least I know what I'm talking about. Whereas if you throw me a question out of the ordinary, or, tell me more about this company and what did you do to make it better, I would have to think and really dig deep down to think really carefully of what works for me. And yeah, so I'm thriving, I'm happy, and I have a good support system. I have a good line manager, Matt Glover. I have a great mentor, Min. Her full name is her phone name is Yasmin, but everyone calls her Min. And they are core to it to make me thrive. They are always asking, what else can we do to support you? You know, you're an associate delivery manager. We know that you're hungry for the delivery manager role. Let's see what else we can do to help you. Shadowing, attending additional events, or even actually doing the actual ceremonies. There's lots of options, and it hasn't stopped. And I'm a year and a half in. I'm still happy. I'm hoping for that promotion, fingers crossed. But yeah, I think I've gone off on a win. So apologies, Donna. That's my
No,
little
never
story.
apologise. Eric, my goodness, what a story. I think what you've just shared will resonate with so many folks in the community. Thank you for your honesty. My mind's ticking away at the things I want to ask you. I suppose on the patterns that you've shared, and as I say, you've been so honest, it's greatly appreciated. What insights do you think that you've discovered about yourself, about being neurodivergent? What are the takeaway messages that you've got from your story in terms of, what you've learned from all this?
Well, for starters, I'm not stupid. I think because
Yeah.
that word was used so much growing up, or idiot, etc., that was branded in my head for whatever I did. I felt like I was never going to be successful. But the discovery of it, knowing that I think differently, changed everything. Meaning that I do observe things much more differently. So recently, I went to a conference, and I don't know what came over me, but I attended the event, which was great. I looked around stuff. I noticed little silly stuff, from how many cameras there were in one room, from how many people there were, from who the interested people were actually listening, paying attention, just body languages. This is what I thrive on. It takes a lot of energy out of me, but by doing so, it actually gives it to my advantage as well. As in, like, I know who I can approach openly. Ones that I didn't want to approach, or they didn't feel comfortable. You could sense the body language. Not everyone can read body languages so easily, and I just feel that there are things that I can catch on to much quicker than a neurodivergent dyslexic person.
Yeah.
But again, I'm not saying that I'm anything special, or it's nice to hear that. But at the same time, I still want to feel that I'm part of the community. I don't ever want to hinder people either. But as a discovery about myself is, I don't want to. So all my life, I never want to give any baggage to people. I want to fulfill that baggage myself and sort it out. I want to own it that I've got dyslexia. I want to own it, the fact that I don't always need to say it so I can get my way. I actually own it and show people that I can do the actual job. If I can get my way, great. But no, I'd rather not get my way. It's more the fact that I want to own it and take responsibility of it, and actually showcase that I can still do my job, but with that extra little bit of help and support. And all it takes is just the beginning stages. Yes, at the beginning of Maytech, I did struggle myself, but I had a very good support system that made it so that they knew that I wasn't going to fail. They were actually challenging me to succeed, not challenging me to fail. And that makes a big difference in me, knowing that I feel very safe in a company like this.
Yeah, it sounds so positive. As you've gone through that journey, then you just talked about things that you're able to see and so on, compared to maybe someone who's neurotypical might not spot those things. Have you, as the years have gone by now, started to think about the gifts and talents associated with your dyslexia, as well as, like you say, some of the barriers that you've overcome?
Repeat that one more time. Sorry.
Have you started to see that you've got gifts and talents that you would associate with being neurodivergent, Eric, as the years are going by? Like you say, you're good at this and you're able to see this in this situation.
Oh, definitely.
Have you kind of started to think, actually, because of my dyslexia, I'm really good at this, this, and this?
No, you're absolutely right. That's correct. That is what's happened. But it's having that little retrospective thinking and reflection that, actually, I wouldn't have got this if I wasn't dyslexic. Maybe I wouldn't have caught on to this. But it's built me as a character, a bit more thick-skinned than I was back then. But it's made me a better person, I would say, definitely. As in, all the bad stuff, all the negative, all the failures has brought me to where I am today, which at the time, of course, it's the most horriblest thing ever at that time, the moment, from being made redundant, being let go, all that stuff is horrible stuff. But it's made it much more appealing that, no, it made that career path to make me understand, right, what have I learned from this? I've got to be selective sometimes, maybe when I've got to choose my battles a bit more wisely now. Don't just go in with go for the count dyslexic. What do you want to do about it? It's more like, okay, what can I'm dyslexic. This is what I can do for you. I'm hoping that it's a skill that other people don't have, but it's also a character as well that I've developed, which I feel that it'll be very valuable in this company if you guys want it. And especially, nowadays you see a lot of companies say that they're disabled friendly. In some ways, I like to challenge that sometimes, because I really do. I like to see it and how they help, if they do help, or if it's just a tick box. I'm just always curious now. It's just something that I've ingrained in me, because I feel that a lot of people say they are, but when push comes to shove, you don't see it. So
yeah, fascinating, isn't it? And it's still, I think we've still got a long way to go. On the back of all what you've been through then, for those individuals who are listening to this, depending on where they're at in their journey, what words of wisdom, messages would you like to share with folks who are listening?
So I actually got this quote from my late cousin Pete. He actually said to me, and this was one of the most, when I lost my job in Singapore, he openly said to me, how do you measure success? Is seeing how quickly you bounce back from failure. This was a quote that stuck with me for life, basically. Since then, since my first job that I lost, everything was, when it comes to losing a job, to losing a pitch, making mistakes, it really is testing your own ability as an individual of how quickly you can bounce back from it. Because I told there was the old saying is, there's a 13th day every month. You're allowed to dwell, be unhappy, cry, and all that. But in some ways, it's good. Don't get me wrong. You can't always be happy and jolly every day. But there are days when it's just everything is hits the fan, and you're just going to have to just deal with it. I allow myself, when I've failed at something, or when I've done something wrong, and I have a reflection, I tell myself I'm only allowed to have one day of being upset about this, or a few hours, depending on the situation. Reflect on it, acknowledge it, deal with it, and get on with it the next day, because no one else is going to pick you up except for yourself. You can have that support network, which is you reach out to people, but at the end of the day, you've got to look after number one, and it's yourself. There's no other people that's as important than yourself. And it sounds negative, it sounds harsh, it sounds cruel, but you've got to think in the long term, how are people going to perceive you if you just give up? And I'm no quitter. I don't know how to lay down. I just get back up as quick as I can. So that'll be my little quick take. I know it's a bit of a long explanation, but I'm happy to take questions on that afterwards if necessary.
Thank you, Eric. No, it's so inspirational. And knowing you for the years that I have, I know how hard you work. Like you say, you're super determined. And that's such a great skill. Like you say, bouncing back, and that resilience that we know is of great importance in our community. So thank you for being so honest and taking us through your story. It's got so many lessons in it that, it's lots to think about, I think, for our community. And we hope it resonates with the people who are listening to this session. It's been such a pleasure to chat with you. On the back of that, then, I'm now going to share our and contact details, because for those of you who are listening to this, you will be at different parts of your own journey, just like Eric was talking us through his journey. Everybody's in a slightly different place. So this is always the bit that makes me really nervous, but hopefully it will come good, because now I'm going to share the coalition contact details. As we said at the very beginning, we come together and we've got different strengths and different passions within each organisation that we represent. But what we've got in common is the commitment and the drive and the passion to share and support great wisdom, great information, and support our neurodivergent community. So with that in mind, here are the contact details. Please know that you are not on your own. So we have here the Adult Dyslexia Centre helpline number and email address. We have Yorkshire Rose Dyslexia Association, and Pat was sharing earlier the great work that they do in that part of the world. We've got the helpline, contact details and email address. Hampshire has an email address for their helpline. As we said a little earlier, Succeed with Dyslexia doesn't have a helpline. They support the community in a different way by providing lots of free information with great inspirational guests as well. And that's their email address there, info@. We've also got NeuroBox's contact details here. They provide training, support with assistive technology, assessments and so on. We've got the email address and website. And then last but certainly not least, we have Helen Arkell Dyslexia Charity. Again, fantastic work the team do there with assessments and training, lots of support for the community, for children and adults. And there's their contact details as well. So that just brings me to say a huge thank you to everybody, including our wonderful guest this evening, Eric. Eric, again, thank you so much for your honesty and openness talking through your story. And let's keep talking and supporting each other within our community. Thank you, everyone. We hope to welcome you to a future and session.
Thank you.